This clay cylinder records the official decree of Cyrus the Great, the legal document that ended the Babylonian exile and authorized the Jews to return to Jerusalem. They arrived in the ruins of their capital with a singular focus: to put God first and reconstruct the temple. But the initial momentum evaporated. For 15 years, the construction site sat silent. Local groups in Palestine, feeling threatened by the return of the exiles, began a campaign of constant harassment and physical opposition. This local pressure was compounded by official resistance from the Persian government, which used bureaucratic threats to keep the Jews intimidated. Faced with these threats, the Israelites lost their nerve. They abandoned the temple project to focus entirely on their own survival. As the temple foundations gathered dust, the people redirected their resources toward building finished, comfortable, paneled houses for themselves. However, this inward turn failed to bring security. Despite working harder than ever for their own benefit, the people found themselves in a state of chronic shortage. The Book of Haggai describes a cycle of frustration. They planted heavily but harvested little. They ate and drank but remained hungry and thirsty. They put on layers of clothes but could not get warm. Their financial efforts felt equally futile. Haggai describes their income as wages earned only to be put into a purse with holes in it. By prioritizing their own comfort over their spiritual purpose, the exiles had achieved a standard of living that was physically paneled but internally empty. In 520 BC, a prophet named Haggai arrived to challenge this state of stagnation. He pointed to the contrast between their finished homes and the neglected site of the temple, asking if it was right for them to live in luxury while God's house remained a ruin. Haggai linked their economic failures directly to their priorities, explaining that their physical hardship was a symptom of putting God second in their lives. He called for a total reversal. They had to confess their failures and physically resume the construction of the temple, even with the threat of local retaliation still looming. Surprisingly, the people and their leaders listened. They put aside their fear and mobilized to start building again. This shift demonstrates that repentance is more than a feeling. It is a decision to take tangible risks despite a difficult environment. As the work progressed, a new wave of discouragement hit the community. This time, it came from the older generation. Those who remembered the scale of the original city realized this new, modest structure would never match the gold and architectural splendor of King Solomon's temple. Through Haggai, God responded with a promise that the glory of this present house would actually exceed the glory of the first. This redefined what made the temple significant. Its value would not come from its decorations, but from God's presence and His promise to grant peace in that specific location. The project proved that God values the courage to build in the present more than a perfect imitation of the past. As the people committed to the work, the prophecies in Haggai shifted toward restoration and the future of the nation. Haggai delivered a final, highly specific message to the governor, Zerubbabel. God promised to make Zerubbabel like a signet ring, allowing him to seal decrees with royal authority. This confirmed the resumption of the House of David, thought severed by exile. This promise spanned centuries, with Zerubbabel appearing in the New Testament genealogies of Jesus. The choice of one generation to build a modest stone structure during a time of depression maintained the genealogical continuity that leads directly to the life of Christ. This history serves as a challenge to evaluate our own lives and see if we are prioritizing temporary comforts over lasting work. It is an invitation to push past a defeatist attitude and to boldly act despite our challenging circumstances. We can act with confidence because we have the assurance that God is in control of the outcome. When we choose to serve faithfully, even the smallest acts of obedience can contribute to an eternal legacy.